Hello, hello, hello. My name is Everything Explained, and today we're going to be taking a brief look slash recap at the Power Book 2 mid-season finale. And if you enjoy this video, like, subscribe, let me know what you talk about next in the comments section. And without further ado, let's take a look at this. These I want to go ahead and let you guys know these screenshots I have are all from YouTube. I did watch the actual episode on Hulu and Stars. However, these were just pictures I got off YouTube, so bear with me. But anyway, oh, sorry, also working through a cold, so that's kind of why I haven't been uploading as much lately. But yeah, I missed you guys. So here we are. But this episode presumes where we last left off with Zeke turning himself in. Dennis McQueen and Monet are also present as they head to the New York Police Department precinct, and where we then at that time find out that Zeke is no longer a suspect, and they have a new prime suspect, and Kamal Tate was about to reveal that to Zeke, Monet, and McQueen. However, Detective Whitman stopped him. Detective Whitman has a personal vendetta against Zeke. He really wants to pin Zeke and Caridad Milgram into this whole Jabari murder any way he can. Kamal Tate read Professor Jabari Reynolds' upcoming manuscript or upcoming novel, whatever it was, some kind of writing. It was based off Tariq, however, and Kamal Tate knew after reading that Tariq should be the main focus of this investigation. And then we finally got Tariq going back to the dorm. Seems like he hadn't been there forever. And we know he has a lot going on. Everything from all the news with Jabari Reynolds and police presence on campus. We know he has the whole situation with him trying to get custody of Yasmin from his grandma. So Tariq is juggling a lot right now, and this is actually a key moment because we do know that Tariq, since lying to Monet, he hasn't had much contact with the Tejadas, and Braden and Kane have been doing all kind of mini Grand Theft Auto missions together. So we do know that Braden and Kane have been spending time together, and Kane just planted the badge inside Tariq's desk in the previous episode. So Tariq actually he tells Braden to stay away from the Tejadas, and he asks if Kane or any of them has been around, and Braden to his face lies. So that was a big moment because I feel like if Braden possibly would have just admitted that Kane had been there, maybe Tariq would have been looking around. Maybe he finds the badge, but excuse me, who knows? We then got a scene of Caridad Milgram getting a phone call after Zeke is cleared. Monet just letting her know to stay away. And then after that phone call, we see Kamal Tate and we see Detective Whitman, and they approach Karen Milgram and they ask her to read Jabari's upcoming work that he was writing about and just give her opinion to them what she thinks because they want her to confirm that Jabari was writing about Tariq because Kamal Tate believes that Tariq had motive in killing Jabari because he knew Jabari was writing about his book and going to expose his drug operation. We also, in another scene, we see Mecca and Monet meeting up, and Mecca basically offering Monet a redo at life, and not only her, but offering to set up trust funds for all of her kids, not just including Zeke, but Kane, Diana, Drew. So he basically wants to run away with Monet and give her this fairy tale lifestyle. Monet's really hesitant right now, however, which she should be, because Mecca showing up out of the blue, out of nowhere to me, does seem a little bit random, but we're gonna have to wait and see about that. Um, we then got this scene. I actually seen this when they put that little leak out or whatever, where Professor Milgram, after reading Jabari's upcoming novel, she was more than aware that Tariq was who he was writing about, and she believes Tariq should be the prime suspect of the investigation and wants to try to get any information out of him whatsoever, any way possible. And so she tries to divert the original, I guess, planned activity had they had for the day, and instead of whatever they had read about, they're now going to be talking about karma. She's asking Tariq what his perspective about that is, just trying to get anything she can inside of his head. And basically, like she's trying to catch Tariq off guard, but we know Tariq's way too prepared for all of that, and no way she going to catch Tariq lacking. We then see Tariq and we see Lauren going to go look for an apartment because we know that Tariq is going to need a stable place if he wants to get custody of Yasmin. And right there, then Monet popped up like the goddamn Grim Reaper. And we see right here Tariq. Look at the look on his face. He's looking like he just seen Ghost for real. Yeah, you think Ghost came back to life, but yeah. So we see Tariq and Monet finally have a conversation after Kane exposed that he was the one that took the final shot on Jabari Reynolds. Excuse me. And Monet basically sets him up, and she tells Tariq that she wants him to figure out who Kane's plug is because she wants to figure out what's going on and who the distro is. And she says if he gives her a name, an address, that they're all good, and she'll look past this whole Jabari Reynolds thing. But if not, he's going to have to pay for what he did because Zeke almost took the fall in her eyes, though I believe this is more to do with. I think more of this responsibility should lie on Kane, but that's my personal opinion. And speaking of Kane, we actually we actually see him in the next scene. We actually see Monet. It almost looks like she's playing Tariq and Kane against each other, trying to see who's the most loyal to her. Because we see Monet asking Kane to find Tariq's weaknesses after she just sent Tariq to spy on Kane and find out who his distro was. So, very, very I guess, very two-faced Monet. That's the word I was looking for. She is, I kind of think that's counterintuitive at the same time. Also, like, I just don't understand what she's trying to gain from this by putting the two of them together because we already know Kane is not like Tariq, and just if Kane finds Tariq like following him, we know that he wouldn't hesitate to put a bullet in him because he again already is not a big fan of Tariq. But however, I digress. Um, I did not get this gentleman's name. I know that he was Ghost's trust fund money management person, but we do see Tariq approaching him because he needs someone to represent him in the family council court in his pursuit in getting custody of Yasmin, and he basically almost has to blackmail this man into saying yes. We then got in the next shot we seen Mecca and Kane having a conversation, and we just basically seen Mecca trying to tell Kane, look, your mom's testing you and Tariq. Don't let her pick Tariq. There was like the quote, like, without supply, no one's getting high. Some kind of cheesy shit like that. But we know Mecca is basically trying to tell Kane that Tariq is just another corner boy. Just some street nigga. We know that Kane is at this moment the connect. So he's more essential to Monet from Mecca's perspective. However, what Mecca doesn't know is, from what I think, Monet is gonna look at Tariq as the realist because Tariq he plays the lay of the land like correct. He holds information until he needs things. Tariq is normally a step ahead, and I think Monet knows that out of all three of her children, Tariq is the most loyal. So I guess all five of her children. I said three. Five if you include Zeke and Tariq, but whatever. Mathematics. We then got the scene of Zeke. I'm sorry. We get the scene of Drew and Everett, and we see that Zeke actually showed up at the dorm, and we find out that Drew, we see him like play it off because Zeke's asking what Drew's doing at Everett's dorm, and we basically see Drew play it off like, oh, just kicking it, me and Ev met at the club, just playing 2K, basically acting like these guys weren't just having a goddamn Valentine's Day in this nigga's room, but fucking yeah. So I mean Zeke, he's on some like reborn shit, dyed his hair. It's not even blonde. I mean, it's like a dingy brown. Looks like a goddamn poop on this nigga's head. Looks like somebody left the fucking shit just sit in the toilet all day. But this nigga Zeke re-dyed his hair. No more freaky Zeke. Jail changed this nigga. So I don't even think he was in jail. I think he was just in like a holding cell, wherever he was being interrogated at. But he's reborn again, and so all good vibes there. But then we do see once Zeke leaves, Everett's like, wow, you sure do lie easy. And I was kind of like, I mean, Everett, like, you know, you were talking about you were lying because you didn't want to get found out that you were gay because it will affect your chances of going to the NBA. So, don't come at Drew for lying. And also, right now, we do know that because Monet is at a distrust with Tariq after finding about the whole Jabari Reynolds situation, we see Tariq approaching Diana asking for product so he can try to get the down deposit on the apartment so he can help get custody of Yasmin. And we see Diana agree to it. However, we see Diana kind of being shisty. We kind of see Diana being shisty. Like I don't trust Diana at all on this because like in this very next scene, we'd seen exactly right here when Diana tells Kane exactly what's going on and basically blackballs Kane into like working for her because she tells Kane that if he doesn't help Tariq with this product, that she'll tell Monet that Kane switched the product out with sugar. And so Diana is, I think, in these next 5 episodes, she's gonna be like the most quintessential character to watch out for. She almost reminds me of like a mini Tasha. Like I don't know, like this whole thing reminds me of like a parody version of like the original Power. Like Tariq obviously being Ghost, like Braden possibly being Tommy, Lauren being Angie. Diana being Tasha, it all just like I mean, I know Kane being Kane, and like I know that's not like logistically going to like add up and that has no real like impact, but it is funny how it almost mimics the original Power. But yeah, we basically get Kane agreeing to Diana's terms, and then we come back and we see Lauren being interrogated by Detective Whitman and Kamal Tate. Not so much interrogated, but they're asking her, basically telling her she's gonna have to step her wire game up because we do know that Lauren was wearing the Rolex with the wire in it. But they basically now want to upgrade her wire, get better footage. They want to know everything going on and they're lying, trying to say that this is about or Carradine Milgram is actually lying, trying to say that the police's investigation is really only trying to target Braden, that Tariq doesn't have anything to do with it, which we all know is a lie, which is why Lauren is actually going along with this because we know, or at least I personally believe that if she did have even the slightest idea that this had to do with Tariq, she'd back out. That's what I think. I'm not gonna say she's a ride or die, but I do think that her feelings for Tariq are strong enough to where she would not do anything to incriminate him. And after the whole situation, we see Detective Whitman and Kamal Tate once again having little squabbles amongst themselves, and we see Kamal Tate still saying that they need to focus on Tariq St. Patrick. However, after listening to The Wire, from Lauren's Rolex they had, they find out when Kane had wound up coming to pay Braden a visit looking for Tariq, and in his pursuit of Tariq, Lauren wounds up coming to Braden and Tariq's room as well, and there's like a very uncomfortable exchange between Lauren and Kane because he's like being very flirtatious with her. But little does Kane know he's actually been caught on a wiretap and so they find out he's Lorenzo Tejada Jr., aka Kane, and Detective Whitman wants to focus the investigation on him, especially once he finds out that Kane and Zeke are cousins, because you know that he wants to try to pin Carrot and Milgram and Zeke to this whole Jabari Reynolds thing any way he can. So he tries to put that in motion, but Kamalte still thinks they should focus on Tariq, and he wants to like try to get more footage, more recording on the wire so they can get a warrant to search Tariq's room. And that's just the warrant for, not the warrant, but the arrest file came because he does have a previous criminal charges. They even mentioned that he had some aggressive charges that were dropped down. So they definitely are going to have an eye out on Kane here coming up, I believe. Then we see Monet and Lorenzo. When I first seen this, I was pretty sure she was going to like tell him about Mecca, or at least tell him about Zeke. But I'm not sure exactly where she was going with the conversation before we even really get the chance to find out. we see that Lorenzo winds up getting a call from Cooper Sacks because behind the scenes, Diana has been paying Cooper Sacks to get Lorenzo out. And so we see that Cooper Sacks is basically like saying, "Hey, Lorenzo, I'm basically saying he's gonna get him out of there." Is what I interpreted it as. He said he has something for him, but I wasn't sure because I'm not sure if Lorenzo is actually quote unquote snitching. But we did actually hear Lorenzo on the phone with Cooper Sacks say, "Yeah, Mr. Sacks, whatever you need, I'll tell you whatever you need to know." And so that seemed a little bit troubling to me because when someone is going to tell whatever they know about a situation, that normally means they're getting out pretty soon. So yes. Um, After that, we see the ADA who Cooper tongue twisted, who Cooper Sacks is actually sleeping with, and we see her and Detective Whitman having a couple of drinks. And Detective Whitman is really focused on this whole Kane and Zeke inherited thing, and he's trying to persuade her into opening up a case about it. And she's telling him, "You're gonna have to come with some pretty strong evidence," basically. And then we see Sax picking her up, and that was interesting because we see Sax and Whitman make some kind of awkward eye contact. It makes me wonder if there going to be some kind of little side beef going on there. Excuse me. And then we get to see Brayden and Kane getting the drop. Now, this is the drop for the product that Tariq is going to use to get the money to try to obtain the apartment so he can get custody of Yasmin again. And we see that originally Kane asked Tariq to come in person, but Brayden shows up. But Tariq, however, is watching from a distance because we know he has his little side mission from Monet to find out who Kane's connect is. And we see finally, we've seen Tariq get dropped off in every borough of New York, every little corner that he could hustle on. We've seen Tariq every single place on the train, on the bus, probably on a goddamn airplane. We have seen Tariq everywhere doing everything except driving. But he's finally, his foot days are over. No more walking in the snow, no more toting around that heavy backpack because now he's driving around Lauren's Beamer and he is finally driving around in class. So it's good to see your boy Tariq finally not on foot, and we see him doing his thing. He's recording Kane, and Kane punched in this code, and Mecca living the luxurious penthouse lifestyle he does had to bust Kane up. And then we see Nuff come and basically just beat the shit out of Tariq. And after assaulting him for a good 5 minutes, Kane and the Asian cook of Mecca's, the Asian cook is questioning Kane, asking if Kane is aware of who that is. Kane's telling him he doesn't know. Nuff is consistently just beating Tariq down, and Kane gets a little bit aggressive when the cook asks again, "Are you sure you don't know him?" Kane continues to say he has no idea who that is, and the cook winds up letting Tariq go. And then we see them on screen watching. But then when we see Nuff back up speaking about the whole situation with Mecca, Kane, and the cook, we see Nuff questions Kane's integrity, not integrity, but questions Kane's credibility. And after we see that happen, we see Mecca actually ask Kane himself, "Well, hey, is it true? Like, did do you know that guy? Did he follow you?" And Kane says no. And after that, we get a scene of the cook, Mecca. It's not this cook's first time doing this because we see Mecca just give the cook a quick, subtle head nod, and the cook basically slits Nuff's throat. And after that, Nuff is bleeding out with the ice and the shrimp. Like, literally, that Asian man, I don't know what kind of Mortal Kombat shit he did, what kind of samurai flaming swordsman shit he did, but that nigga literally put that nigga Nuff on ice. Look at that shit. That nigga is bleeding the fuck out. That shit look like a goddamn cherry slushy from Sonic. I digress. We then see Dennis McQueen speaking to his brother, And we are finding more out about their whole situation because we hear James McQueen say he's gonna do whatever it takes to get him out, and then we hear his brother say, "Not if it means that not if it means that you wind up in here." And so that just kind of makes me think, like, so wait a second, does that mean that Dennis McQueen has something to do with the murder? So I'm more than confident we're gonna get more information on that in the second part of the second season. And then we see Tariq showing up late because he had an apartment hearing scheduled because we know he's trying to get this place so he can be a legal guardian for Yasmin. And Lauren showed up on time. However, Tariq showed up late, and the landlord did not want to lease to him. And then we find out that Lauren, her brother, has a apartment because he's in a halfway house, and she offers it to Tariq, and he's basically feeling like he has everything he needs. He's like 3 steps ahead, and he's ready to go to court. And so, like, now his guards are really down. He's feeling like he can really depend on Lauren, and she's asking strange questions that should have been red flags to him. She's asking a lot of weird stuff about Brayden, and in the midst of the conversation, because he doesn't know that she's wearing that wire, and she doesn't know that the investigation is actually focused on Tariq. Tariq winds up dropping the information that Professor Reynolds did inform him that he was writing a book, and he didn't specifically say that he told him that he was writing the book about himself, about Tariq, but Tariq did tell Lauren that Professor Reynolds told him who he was writing the book about, but he didn't say who the focus was on. And so after all of that, it didn't like take much time for Kamalte to basically get an arrest warrant because Tariq's defenses were all kind of down right here. Tariq is normally the strong, silent type when it comes to these kind of things. But the minute Kamalte heard that, he got not an arrest warrant, I'm sorry, a search warrant and to go search Tariq's room, and we see Monet and Kane finally having a, I don't want to say a heart to heart, but it seems like Kane finally got some cognacs of steel because he really stepped up for the first time. It seems like stuck his chest out to me because he finally told Monet what it is, and he asked her, "Am I your son or a soldier?" And she said both, and he asked her, "Well, what kind of mother does that make you?" And he just kind of left Monet in pieces right there. I feel like, but then we got Tariq who was headed to the meeting or the court hearing of the custody of Yasmin. And on his way there, we see Monet who stops him and tells him to get in the car. And when he does get in there, she locks it from the inside and basically says, "You failed me. I asked you to get the name of the plug, and I asked you to get this information, and you didn't." And essentially, Tariq gives up Mecca and Mecca's address, but that's basically not enough for her, and she tells Tariq, "You're gonna lose your sister, like I almost lost Zeke." And this is where we really see like that inner ghost come out of Tariq because he really steps up. Like he was quite savage because Monet's sitting here talking about how in control of the whole situation she is, how she controls everything, and nothing goes on without her knowing. And Tariq's like, you're wrong. You're not in control after all. Like you're on like an island that's unknown to you. Like just really just sounding like ghosts. And we basically hear Tariq expose Kane for swapping her product with sugar. We see him expose Drew for still being with Everett at Stansfield. We see him expose Diana, who actually stole her money, which he explained to her right there. And then after that, he says that she needs him and he needs his sister. So what are we doing? And she unlocks the door and lets him out, and this was the look on her face, like she just was outsmarted, and she's like, "Oh man, I can't trust any of my kids." She's like, I need you, Tariq St. Patrick. But then after that, we seen Tariq rushing to get to that court meeting, and when we actually seen Tariq in court, we seen him give a phenomenal presentation, uh and if I was the judge, I would completely have granted him custody, which she did, temporary custody, because Tariq was very professional, despite him being a little bit excuse me, despite him being a little bit behind time wise, when he showed up, he offered to pay for his grandmother's rehab or rehabilitation treatment, whatever kind of center she's going to be going to for drug abuse. Tariq offered to pay for it, and we see Tariq also mention that he is in the what is it, conical studies, and he also has his own apartment, and he has the money, and he's more than willing to do whatever it takes to be there for his family. So again, the judge had agreed on a temporary custody situation as long as Tariq kept his nose clean until his grandma got out of jail. I'm sorry, out of rehab and got better. Tariq would be able to be Yasmin's temporary guardian. And so it's looking like Tariq is gonna find everything is going good for him. And but then, because of that recording from Lauren, they got a search warrant for Tariq's dorm and wound up finding Detective Ramirez's badge after Kane planted it in the room. And people were trying to say that was Braden's desk. Kane planted that in, but I knew from the jump that that was Tariq. Like, why would Kane try to frame Braden? Like, it wouldn't make any sense. But so Kamal Tate found the badge. We then seen a very heartfelt, quick moment between Tariq and Yasmin, where Tariq promised Yasmin everything was gonna be okay, which was so sad. And then we see Tariq show back up to Stansfield to an ongoing investigation and a heavily police presence, and we see Braden basically give him a headshake and tell him to get out of there. But before Tariq can, we see Tariq get arrested for Ramirez and Jabari Reynolds' murder. And he gets arrested in front of Lauren and Carradine Milgram, who, when Lauren tries to approach Tariq, we see Carradine Milgram basically say that, oh, this is what he deserves. And if you ask me, Carradine Milgram, her days are numbered in the Power universe, because when someone gets in Tariq's way, especially like this, and she went out of her way to try to get Tariq, and especially if Tariq finds out that she, I don't want to say manipulated, but basically false fed Lauren information in order to get her to cooperate. I do believe that if not Tariq Monet, someone is going to take Professor Milgram out. I don't think she's going to be around too much longer. But then yeah, we see Tariq in the back of the police car. We see Zeke's finally free, which it was good to see Zeke free because he had no idea what he was doing and he didn't belong in the situation. And I did really feel bad for him because he had nothing to do with all of this. He was just playing basketball and partying like a normal college kid. So if I had to be anyone in this show, like I said, you'd want to be like him or someone on the basketball team. But anyway, yeah, we then see Dennis McQueen get the call that Tariq was arrested for a double murder, and he is flagging down a taxi headed to the holding station. And then we see Tariq in a cell, and they say that his lawyer is coming or his lawyer is present and to come on so we can come speak to his lawyer. I also just wanted to point out really quick. I don't remember. Oh, it was Jacob Banks Unknown was the song that Tariq was arrested to, which in the original Power, I believe it was season 3, episode 5. I cannot remember the title to it. I just read it earlier, but I watched it a while ago. It's been a while since I watched the original Power. But I do recall that it was the same song that Angela arrested Ghost to in Truth, and it was the same song here that Tariq was being arrested to. And we hear that his lawyer was present, and you expect Dennis McQueen, but it's actually the money management person for the trust funds. I believe his name is Davis. Correct me in the comment section if I'm mistaken on that. But we see him open up this briefcase and hand Tariq an envelope and basically tells him that his father had prepared this envelope in the terrible occasion that Tariq was arrested for a homicide or a murder. And so now that this has happened, the trust fund management person comes and he gives Tariq this envelope. And then after that, he wishes him that he never had to give him that envelope and he exits. And then we come back and see Tariq, and he is sitting inside of the cell with the envelope. He opens it up, which turns out being a letter from Ghost, and it reads that I knew you'd be here one day, little nigga. You're exactly where you belong. And so that is definitely going to have some kind of psychological effect on Tariq. I've been seeing people say that Tariq's going to stop hallucinating about Kanan and start hallucinating about Ghost. We're going to have to wait and see about that. But I definitely do think Ghost might have some kind of role in this second season. But yeah, as for now, Tariq is behind bars, and he is accused of a double murder. But we do know he has all kind of powerful connects. We know Rashad Tate, who's Kamal Tate's brother, and a strong member uh, on the political board. I don't know what his exact position is, a councilman, I presume. But we do know that he is a high-statured man. We also know that Tariq is has business relations with Dennis McQueen. We also know he has a long history with Cooper Sacks. We also know that Braden Weston, who's also a very wealthy person or kid. I don't know. He's not a kid, but a wealthy teenager at least comes from a wealthy background, I guess. We know that that's Tariq's best friend, who's also always been very loyal to him. We also know that Simon Stern is like watching out, and he has great influence. And also something to not forget. Don't forget Stephen Ott, because Stephen Ott was in court with the St. Patrick's thing numerous times. So I wouldn't be surprised if he made some sort of an appearance in this whole thing either. So Tariq does have like a lot of big shot callers in his corner. He does have a lot of people with money and influence in his pool, so on his side. So I don't think Tariq will sit down for too long. I think he might do a little bit of time, a little bit of waiting, but he has a lot of strong people in his corner, so it wouldn't surprise me if he was out before the season was over. But this was a very emotional scene to watch, and because after what he did to Ghost, you would think this is where we want to see him because technically speaking, he does belong here. But it was emotional to see him get arrested. And then after all of that, we wind up seeing Monet, and she is just driving home, unbeknownst to her that Therese even been arrested. She's just heading home, and she's hearing a lot of chatter. She actually starts hearing Spanish being spoken the closer she approaches the door. And when she walks inside, she sees at the center of the table Lorenzo, accompanied by Drew, Diana, and Kane, and everyone's like, "Hey, like, why didn't you let us know that Dad was coming home? Like, is this why you've been acting so weird?" And she's putting on this fake smile because Lorenzo hops up to hug her, and like she's doing this weird like left eye tweak, like she's just ba- basically having like an inner mental meltdown. So this whole Tejada thing is going to be insane. There was a scene where I don't know how I forgot to like put it in here, but we actually seen Monet basically say that she can't trust her kids and she wants a do-over, but she needs time and she needs to tell the kids about Zeke first, being her son. And Mecca agrees to those terms. So essentially, she was gonna come home and tell the kids that Zeke is her kid and they're gonna be with Mecca. Instead, she comes home and finds out Lorenzo's out. So now, this is just it got really bad. I'm really interested to see how this whole Tejada storylines are going to take place because it's more than likely going to be like Team Mecca and Team Lorenzo. Like, that's something I heard. There's definitely going to be some sort of war for the Tejada family position in the drug business. And what will happen with Tariq, we're just going to have to wait and find out. But yeah, Monet was definitely caught off guard when Lorenzo was home at the end of that. But I'm gonna be doing a prediction on Power, and I'll definitely be checking out the promo for the sixth episode. But if you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and let me know what you're talking about next in the comment section. My name is Everything Explained, and I will catch you in the next one.